I'm sorry, but even the next day, it's kind of fun. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Justin, and today we're continuing our album listen of Thick as a Brick, of course by Jethro Tull, their fifth studio album, which was released in 1972. Once again, can't thank you guys enough for the 10,000 subscribers. That really is amazing. Like we mentioned before, still got a few more goals to work ourselves up to, but it's going to be an exciting and a fun journey, and trust me, I'm really enjoying it. Are these things annoying, or are they kind of fun? I feel like they're annoying if you're not the one blowing it. By the way, have you guys heard Wobbler's new album? It's pretty good. You should probably check it out. You guys are more than welcome to join me on Twitter. You can join me in the comments down below. I hope you're having a fantastic day. Let's jump into it. This is Thick as a Brick Part 2 by Jethro Tull.
clear white circles of morning wonder, I take my place with the Lord of the Hills, and the blue-eyed soldiers stand slightly discolored in neat little rows sporting canvas frills. With the jock straps pinching, they slouch to attention whilst queuing for sardies at the office canteen, singing how's your granny and a good old Ernie copped up a tenner on a premium on wing. Signal for the crack of dawn, light the sun, light the sun. New in the day. to pick up your dead, as the sins of the fathers are fed with the blood of the fools and the thoughts of the wise, and from the pen under your bed. Well, let me make you a present of song, as the wise man breaks wind and is gone, while the fool with the hourglass is cooking his goose and the nursery rhyme winds along. So come all ye young men who are building castles, kindly state the time of the year, and join your voices in the hellish chorus, mark the precise nature of your fear. See the summer lightning cast its bolts upon you, and the hour of judgment draweth near. Would you be the fool stood in the suit of armor, or the wiser man who rushes clear? So come on, you child of heroes, won't you rise from the pages of your comic books, your super crooks, and show us all the way? Well, make your will and testament, won't you join your local governments? We'll have Superman for president, let Robin save the day. So where the hell was Biggles when you needed him last Saturday? And where are all the sportsmen who always pull you through? They're all resting down in Cornwall, writing up their memoirs for a paperback edition of the Boy Scout Manual. So you ride yourselves over the fields, and you make all your animal deals, and your wise men don't know how it feels to be thick as a brick.
Ending the song, ending the album the same way it had begun, letting the critics know. You You're a little thick. There's a lot of things that came to mind listening to the second part of Thick as a Brick. We turn the vinyl over when we come onto the other side. The first thing I thought of, those first 3 to 4 minutes of the song are just this overblown and dramatic entry into it. And I love it. Because, and this is just from what I'm gathering from the song, gathering from reading about the song and the album as a whole, Jethro Tull is basically parodying other progressive bands at the time and of the moment. So when they jumped into this giant and very dramatic opening, especially because of the drumming by Barlow, I feel like they're making fun of other bands who put so much time and I don't want to say pretentiousness, but they put so much work and value into just overblowing sections and elongating sections, and that drum solo, which turned into a fill, which turned into a rhythm, continuing part of the song in the beginning, it went on for a long time. And I feel like that was their British humor coming through. That was their humor coming through in the music itself without any words spoken. I think at that point, there's only 2 or 3 lines that are spoken at that point. I'd have to look at it, but I think it's so funny how they actually get that across just in the music itself. Because that drum solo slash long fill that it is, I mean, it's completely overblown. It's completely exaggerated. But I think that's where the humor in the song lies. And there's a lot of moments like that. So I really like that opening. And I like how just spastic and spazzed out it felt. I mean, it really did bounce a lot in its transitions, especially there. And then doing similar things in the ending as well. But it was just really cool to hear that, because now that I'm thinking about it, from what I've heard of Jethro Tull, they're not one of those type of bands. They're not a band like Genesis or Yes, where they create these long and, I don't want to say overblown, but complicated and complex compositions. Even though their songs do have their own nuances and complexities that do come across in their music, perhaps just a little more subtle than, an album like Relayer. But you get those prog sensibilities taken over and brought into the formula that Jethro Tull just naturally builds themselves. And it's really interesting to hear how they themselves process the prog realm and put that through their own grinder, put that through their own machine, and what we get on the other side is an album like Thick as a Brick, which, as previously mentioned, in the process of making fun of albums and music like this, actually comes across as a really good song of the same ilk. Ilk is more of an onomatopoeia that you just spit out ugh. So listen to the bombastic nature of the opening, which, like I said, leading to this solo, which it has so many moments to stop. But it doesn't. It literally just keeps going, rolling down the hill. I like, and I love actually, the inclusion. I really like the inclusion of the bells in there. And I like how even within the solo itself, it still plays to the song, which is going to lead to my next point. The solo playing to the song, adding in those extra musical elements like those bells, I believe a little bit of flute in there. The band is still going to play along with that solo. They're just letting Barlow kind of roll along for a little bit. But one thing I also found interesting, specifically in this song, and I'll have to see if I kind of catch the same thing in the first half, but the band did a great job in their movements of the song. The band did a great job of creating a rhythm, creating a time signature, creating a melody, and then playing around that melody. Because I think that some bands, I would even say more so modern progressive bands of certain names, which I won't name, but they would do a section, move on. Do a section, move on. Time signature here, time signature here. They would just go all around and change. And listen, for certain places, for certain times, that's okay. It's not what I'm really into, but it's okay. I understand it. Pushing limits, pushing boundaries. What I like about what they've done in this song is that they do create these certain moments and movements, but they actually take the time, they have the patience and the care to actually kind of relax within those moments. Build off of those moments, take the bones and put a little flesh and meat on them and kind of expand them into something a little greater. Basically what I'm getting at is they sound comfortable doing this. This kind of progressive sound and leaning that they've taken upon themselves with this album may have been something that they could have felt uncomfortable with. But because of the way that they integrate themselves into the music and into these movements, they sound really comfortable doing it. And I think that that's why the playfulness in their music really shines through. Because it's not coming across so rigidly composed that they have to hit every single note right on the dot. It doesn't come across so structured that it feels suffocating and claustrophobic. It actually feels like a slightly improvisational piece, not as a whole, but in moments within those comfortable movements. And I know I've talked about it before, but I'm going to mention the organ again because the organ is just killing it throughout this whole thing. Some of this even sounds like it's edging towards like an abstract kind of jazz feel, just with those notes. And I know I've mentioned it before, but it feels a little bit like Soft Machine to me, from what I've heard of them. And one of my favorite things that they do in these beginning moments is when they slow everything down and they give you a dramatic pause, stopping the music completely. And then bringing it back. They do that several times throughout the beginning especially. Alright, once again, I think this is their humor coming through. They're creating these big dramatic pauses that a lot of bands do. And listen, they do it because it works. I love a dramatic pause. Listen, stop all the music, hold the horses, and build tension and suspense. I'm all for it. I'm in it. I love that because, it keeps you salivating and, wanting to hear what comes next. I like how they take those moments, and I feel like those spaces are stretched out just a little bit. Like they're testing your patience. And so you're like, wait, is it coming back? Before they bring it back. And one thing I really liked is a few times when they brought it back big. What you would expect. But I think it was the last time they did that, they actually just quieted it down. They brought it back to barely a simmer, which defies the expectations of the audience. It's gotta go. And I want to speak about this here specifically. This section, I find Ian singing magical and enchanting here. I love the slight vibrato in his voice when he sings, especially in the ending. The music really sounds calming. And you guys are going to know this song, obviously, much better than I am, because it's my first time listening to it. But this is going to lead me to my, I want to say, third point that I was thinking about as I was listening to this. In these moments and in the moments to come in just the next few minutes, you know what I was being reminded of listening to this? Let me know if you agree or disagree. It's completely fine. I was thinking about Mike Oldfield. And I know I'm not overly exposed to Mike Oldfield. I've only heard 2 albums from him, Tubular Bells and Hargest Ridge. But listening to the way that the guitar is played, perhaps the way that the singing is done, but I'm really listening more towards the instrumental side of it. It feels like it has that same spacious kind of tone, not ambient, not at all, but it has a somewhat similar spirit in that it feels very quiet, melodic, relaxed, and yet spacious and open and extremely vivid. Something about the way that the instruments move in these next few moments. Maybe it's the combination of keys here with the guitar. I don't know. But then it jumps into this. Okay. From here on, we're taking on a little bit of a ride. This groove, once again, like I mentioned before, they sound comfortable in it and they play around in that groove for at least a few minutes. You guys know when bands take everything and they slow it down, they boil it down into some sort of just slow, 4/4 groove. Give it to me. I'll eat it right up, okay? I love how they razzle-dazzle us with all these, instrumental gymnastics, and then they just kind of take it pace by pace, back down into something that we're very familiar, back down into something that, I'm sorry, but as soon as I heard that, I was just in with it. There's something beautifully murky about this. I feel like, I don't know about you, but if you've ever walked through a swamp and you feel your feet dragging, I feel like it's kind of like that. Now, I'm thinking of a beautiful swamp, which I know sounds like something that doesn't exist, but I don't know, maybe it's the Floridian in me. But there's a beauty to the swamps and the way that the algae and the moss kind of floats on the water and you don't know quite what lurks beneath the water. I feel like that's what I'm hearing right here. I feel like we're just trudging along in these murky and muddy waters and we don't quite know what's underneath, but there is a beauty in the whole landscape of everything. I love this little vocal detail from Anderson. Allowing his voice to fade out, bring it back in. It It's a very intimate vocal technique, and it's something that's not necessarily hard to do, but it's used to great effect. It sounds really good within the music, and I feel like the way that all of this calms down, it has a very unique sound to it. Once again, slowly expanding the sound. The organ, by the way, love the way that it peaks out on the tail end of that beginning, a new bar. See how they're playing around with something that we're familiar with? Let me turn it down, it sounds loud. And then they break back into the... That is just such a cool combination, fusing the experimental and these progressive sounds with something a little more straightforward. Ian's just gravely and slightly haunting vocals over it, with that beautiful organ, the bass work. This mood, because this is a mood, I don't know about you, but this is a mood. I was really hoping that they would stay here for a long time, because this may have been one of my favorite parts of the song, perhaps of the album. I can't say yet because I have to listen to part 1 again. I listened to it, by the way, before recording today, but I definitely need to reaffirm and revisit it again on my own time. But this was just a great section where everyone is really just blasting off and creating this beautiful and subtle atmosphere. And as this section begins to evolve sonically and especially texturally, I mean, the point I really come away with is what I said before, and what I'm going to probably keep coming back to. How comfortable they sound experimenting, improvising, can't say it, within the sections themselves, and even in this small change. They're steadily adding new elements into the song, so steadily. It's almost like if you're cooking. Right? If you're cooking and you have the recipe and you followed the recipe, but if you're like me, the recipe might be a little boring and you want to add your personal touch, right? You want to add, I don't know, salt where salt wasn't needed, or oregano or chili when it wasn't really needed. So you do it sparingly. You do it slowly until you get to that perfect taste that you're looking for. Jethro Tull and Thick as a Brick Part 2 are doing the exact same thing. They found their comfort level, they found where they wanted to be, and they've perfected their formula. But at the same time, they say, okay, can we maybe push it a little bit more? Can we maybe expand and grow this a little bit more? And to be honest, I think that in part 2 especially, I think the results are undeniable. I think they come across very tasty. And then they set the whole stage on fire, and they really turn everything up to just 11 on here, as everyone just jumps in on this, just whatever's happening. Besides the bass tone, which I really like, by the way, I really like the way that the bass cuts through in the recording. So big shout out to the actual production and engineering here on the album. But I also like the way that Ian comes back in vocally on here. I think it's a few more seconds before he comes in, but the way he just he's looking for a place to jump in. He's like playing jump rope. He's playing jump rope with the song, and he's looking for the time to jump in. He's looking for the spot, and then he hops in. See? He does not miss a beat jumping into this. He's playing musical double dutch. All of us, we're playing musical chairs. He's playing musical double dutch. They take that same melody and just break it apart a little bit more, allow space in between so they can insert some nice big epic moments to make this ending have the crescendo that it deserves. And then we get this total tonal shift at the end. Before it eventually leads into a revisitation of the first verse in the first half of the song. And here, bringing back those lyrics that we've heard in the first half once again. It's a really nice reprise and a really nice way of introducing that back again. I did think that shift was a little awkward, but not so much that, to be honest, it's barely even worth mentioning. But I did want to mention it. And then we get this big final build-up, final ending here with nice rounded out bass sound, organ especially. Like I said, the organ has really been a standout listening to this whole album, and on this half it's no different. And like I said, then we end with very softly, very personal singing from Mr. Ian Anderson, repeating the first lines, or some of the first lines that we had heard in the first half of Thick as a Brick. Also, just looking at this, I think it is like stupendously amazing that this album was #1 on US Billboard 200 in 1972. Is that I mean, that's huge, isn't it? Apparently on Australian albums, Canadian albums, Danish albums. I mean, for an album like this, I feel like that's huge. All right, I'll be 100% honest in that I did not pay attention to the lyrics at all while I was listening. Like, I looked at them, but I actually was really just listening to the music this time. See there, a man born, and we pronounce him fit for peace. There's a load lifted from his shoulders with the discovery of his disease. We'll take the child from him, put it to the test, teach it to be a wise man, how to fool the rest. Seeming like a continuation on the themes built upon in part 1, in which they found someone that they declare the chosen one, and they're going to put him to the test and make him wise. Apparently teach him how to fool the rest. Do you believe in the day? Do you believe in the day? The dawn creation of the kings has begun. Soft Venus, lonely maiden, brings the ageless one. Do you believe in the day? Do you believe in the day? The fading hero has returned to the night, the fully pregnant with the day. Wise men endorse the poet's sight. Do you believe in the day? Do you believe in the day? I've been reading the lyrics. I'm not getting it. But like I said, I could be thick as a brick. I feel like Ian is perhaps more writing a little bit more vague in here, perhaps to confuse critics who were looking for meanings in the lyrics. But per my videos, I have to look for the meanings in the lyrics. Let me help you to pick up your dead as the sins of the fathers are fed. With the blood of the fools and the thoughts of the wise, and from the pan under your bed, they make you a present of a song. That's kind of funny. As the wise man breaks wind and is gone, while the fool with the hourglass is cooking his goose, and the nursery rhyme winds along. Honestly, I feel like even lyrically, Ian is just making fun of looking for meanings in meaningless things. With the blood of the fools and the thoughts of the wise. Sounds really philosophical. It sounds like it's going to start some sort of poetry. Then he talks about the pan under your bed. Let me make you a present of a song out of that. The wise man breaking wind is gone. So I feel like he's taking the idea of these bands who have wrote such like deep and philosophical and spiritual lyrics that are just wells deep. I feel like he's making fun of that and basically saying that they're as deep as a bedpan. I've sat here and read the lyrics. I can't pick out a continuous story or a continuous concept besides what I've already mentioned, in that it's really just making fun of perhaps the music and the prog epics of the time. Anyways, fantastic album, great song. On a first listen, I actually enjoyed part 2 a little bit more than part 1. I felt that on first listen, I felt that part 1 was really good, but it didn't necessarily like click with me. Part 2, there were a lot of moments in there that like really hit me, especially that middle section. That's just great. That's what I want. Of course, I'll have to revisit it. It's going to take me some time to really, absorb and feed and digest it all. But in the meantime, I would love to know what you guys thought of the song. I would love to know what you guys thought of the album, of course, as a whole, compared to Jethro Tull's other albums and their other songs and their other output. Once again, I cannot thank you enough for helping me to reach 10,000 subscribers. This is actually like top of the line, amazing. By the way, big shout out to my wife who, like, the day that I reached 10,000 subscribers, she like dressed up the room and everything. I had no idea that she was going to do that. So big shout out to her and thank you to her for that, because that was amazing. Of course, we have some other goals here for 13K Topographic Oceans. Hopefully that won't be long before we set sail. And then, of course, at 15K, we will venture into The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway by Genesis. If you have any other album ideas, I'm more than open to hear them. Like I said before, definitely join me in the comments. Definitely join me on Twitter if you'd like to sometimes hear my random thoughts. If you'd like, you can support the channel on Patreon, but you really don't have to. I enjoy your presence here, whether that is with an open wallet, a closed wallet, no wallet, or a pink wallet, or brown wallet, or whatever. As long as you enjoy the content, I enjoy your company. Anyways, I hope you have a beautiful night, a wonderful morning, an amazing afternoon. Whatever time it is, wherever you are, I hope it's a great one. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye.